I no longer listened to any attempts to stop me like, "You just escaped from the surface of Segwang Metropolitan City after 293 days, and now you're saying you're going back underground?" No, I didn't have the luxury.
Is there a problem with this music box? I'm going in for now.
With that, I immediately passed back through the door of the Fox counseling room and prepared to enter the Segwang Special City subway through the long-term inpatient room.
You're going in, Grapesy. Wait.
Agent Choi, who had been keeping a wary eye on Director Ho, ended up accompanying me, but I had no time to observe or mediate the conflict between Ho Yuan and Agent Choi that I encountered in the counseling room. I was just anxious, my blood running cold. What happened? Why, was the music box that caused the day of disaster also inside the Daydream Potion Maker?
I'll guide you for now, Mr. Rodeer.
Even during the process of entering the long-term inpatient room and accessing the subway, the questions wouldn't stop. The only fortunate thing was the realization that, the moment I opened my eyes, I had successfully entered the Segwang Special City subway. The familiar sight of a modern platform came into view, Segwang Station. Before your breath is cut short and you are offered up in a sacrificial rite, before you are trapped in this May 4th, to the place you were originally from, the counselor had been right. My intuition that I wouldn't be dragged in there because I hadn't died on the day of disaster, May 4th, was correct. But that relief was short-lived. I hadn't forgotten why I came here.
This way.
As instructed, I took the train to Twilight Station, and the security chief guided me to the platform of the station where Delusion Home Shopping had been. Creak. And when he opened a fire hydrant in a corner, a surprisingly large space appeared. The inside of the fire hydrant had originally been distorted, large enough for Yongen and me to enter together, but now it was almost the size of a living space. It looked like 7 adults could lie down comfortably. However, one side was occupied by a massive machine, the potion maker.
They said they expanded it with an item.
Did they come up with this method after the train shelter disappeared? The passage of several months hit me viscerally. The shabby, lived-in space was furnished with items that seemed to have been scrounged from the subway. Judging by that, it seemed they hadn't been able to procure many daily necessities from the outside. And 2 people who had been sitting on a mattress in the corner shot to their feet the moment they saw me.
Employee.
2 members of the research team, Assistant Manager Lee Yonhwa and Section Chief Kwak Jegong.
Wow, we heard you were back. You came right away. We knew you would.
Both of them looked quite worn and haggard. It was even more striking considering how neat and tidy they had been at the company. Kwak Jegong, in particular, looked even more wretched, perhaps because he was missing the top joint of his little finger. But now, his eyes were gleaming like they were on fire. The excitement of finally being able to savor new knowledge.
Did you hear the story about that music box?
He then went to the machine and immediately began to yank open a drawer placed next to it. Assistant Manager Lee Yonhwa, who was rushing over with him, was horrified.
Section Chief, safety protocols.
Thud. Before Kwak Jegang could grab the drawer, the security chief slapped it as if to block it.
Back off. Rash actions.
A twitch went through Kwak Jegang's eyes, but he soon twisted his lips into a smile and stepped back with exaggeration.
Of course, I should. I can't get in the way of you enjoying the fun of telling a researcher what to do for the first time in over a decade, can I?
The security chief completely ignored his words, took an object from the drawer, and came this way. Assistant Manager Lee Yonhwa let out a low groan.
Section Chief Guac. He's always like that. Even though I told him it would be better not to provoke the project members.
You've been through a lot.
That's true. But compared to all the people who died, we're in better shape for having gone missing in the darkness. And taking apart the potion maker is kind of fun.
Instead of her previous tense demeanor, her tone was one of resignation, as if she'd just let things be. But I was too on edge to offer her any words of comfort. That thing. The silver box the security chief was bringing over. Kwak Jegang was following beside him, muttering.
I mean, you've let me research freely all this time, and now you're doing this. You're really doing something useless.
Watching him, Assistant Manager Lee Yonhwa spoke to me in a very ambiguous tone.
We never told the new employees who showed up why we're fixing the maker.
Thank you.
It seemed she meant she had kept her promise to me, and soon the silver box arrived before my eyes.
Should I open it?
It's all right.
I opened the box. Inside was a black music box, identical to the one in the photo Miss Go Young Yoon had sent. The jet black, box-shaped music box, looking as if silver had tarnished, had intricate embossed patterns, and golden letters were engraved where the top and bottom met. Angel's sigh. It really truly was that.
Have you by any chance tried to open this music box?
Well, that thing, the lock wouldn't open.
Who?
So we forced it open, but it didn't make a sound. I wanted to disassemble it, but the mainspring itself wouldn't turn. Maybe I should spray some lubricant on it. Well, we were devising various other methods.
Lubricant liquid.
By any chance, have you let this music box come into contact with Dream Essence liquid?
The researcher's expressions changed.
We haven't, but wait a minute.
Kwak Jegang went to the potion maker and started opening something to inspect it.
This music box, it was hidden here, in the storage section where the Dream Essence liquid comes down and meets the device to create the potion. So, if this maker had actually been supplied with power and operated, this music box would have eventually come into contact with the Dream Essence liquid.
My God.
Then you think this music box would play?
I placed the music box back inside the silver box. Cold sweat trickled down my temple. It was a trap. The moment I installed this potion maker on the roof of Segwang City Hall, another disaster would have erupted. If the researchers hadn't spent 293 days adrift in the disaster, taking this maker apart. If they had only performed standard operational repairs, without discovering the music box, it would have been ruin. My heart turned to ice at the dizzying thought, and if that was the case, I was led on. They had deliberately allowed me to steal the discarded maker. When I infiltrated Daydream, they deliberately caused a commotion about a missing potion maker to steer the situation so that it would be easier to steal the discarded maker, with the music box planted inside the discarded maker. Who? There was really only one answer to that question. It was Director Chong. Goosebumps ran down my spine. Wait a minute. How much does she know? Is she reading my mind? Just how far does the power of the employment contract extend? Could it be that even at this very moment, no, I have to stay calm. The very fact that she set a trap means this attempt must not succeed, from Director Chong's perspective. If anything, this situation reinforces the credibility of the method written on Lee Kangyeon's note. It means Director Chong also thinks this is the right answer. Yes, that's right. My head cleared. After some thought, I put the silver box containing the music box into my inventory tattoo, box and all.
Hey, that!
I heard Kwak Jigang's shocked cry from behind me, but I didn't hesitate. I knew how to appease him anyway.
Within a week, both of you may be able to escape this darkness. I visited today because there's something I need to prepare for that attempt. Please teach me how to install that potion maker.
And so, I learned from the two researchers how to connect the potion maker to a power source. With this, I can go to the roof and install this maker instead of the dream incubator. But even as I made steady preparations, the eerie premonition wouldn't fade. It was the same even after I finished learning how to install it, and in a fit of ominous anxiety, stored the potion maker itself in my inventory tattoo before stepping out of the fire hydrant.
Then we'll be waiting with bated breath.
Thump. I fell silent, watching the fire hydrant door close before Kwak Jegang could finish his sentence.
Are you going back now?
Just a moment.
There was still something I needed to check. I turned my head from the platform toward the stairs. A familiar sign came into view. Flower Golden Resort Souvenir Pop-Up Store.
Mascot.
As I entered, the two Hugh-uns shot to their feet and looked at me.
We heard from the employees that you couldn't come because something else came up. Is your business finished?
We're so glad, Mascot.
They were so full of welcome and relief that I wanted to chat more, but that wasn't the urgent matter at hand.
Is the rent okay?
The rent for this pop-up store space, paid with blood, payment item, fresh blood, human, security deposit, 499L monthly payment. 3L, is that okay?
We got a few reminder notices, so we've been taking turns paying it ourselves. Don't worry!
Excuse me?
There are two of us, you see. If we take turns giving a little each week, the amount is bearable.
I was at a loss for words.
But you're afraid of blood.
It's okay. We put it in the mailbox and cut ourselves so we didn't have to see it. And when we get a cut, the resort treats it right away.
A bandage with the face of the yellow mascot character was stuck to Jang Hyun's arm. I felt a pang of guilt.
I'm sorry. If I happen to be away for a similar reason next time, please tell them to deduct the blood from the security deposit.
Huh? Yes, we will.
But as I said it, I knew. Will there really be a next time? If I succeed in ending the extinction-class disaster, what will happen to this subway station? If the subway station is freed from the lockdown and the disaster's influence, its property of being, a space where even the contaminated can exist with their sanity intact, will also disappear. Then these people, Thinking of Supervisor Park Min-seong's case on top of that made me feel even more uncertain. Am I missing something? Because I'm so anxious about the time limit, is there something I haven't checked? The music inside the maker was a trap I only discovered because I had enough time. Could there be other traps like that elsewhere? Even if not, if I took enough time to investigate, I might be able to find other hints.
Mr. J,
I asked as we left the pop-up store.
do you know Director Cheong well?
Well, at the company, as much as the other employees know, I know all that.
I knew that much too. While waiting to hear from the researchers, I had looked into what I could find out about Director Chong externally. She rarely makes public appearances. She doesn't appear at official functions or press conferences. However, her name has been listed as a director since the current Daydream website was first created, meaning she's a being who has been at Daydream since long ago, before it was even publicly listed. What I heard from asking the 2 Disaster Management Bureau agents who were with me was similar. A director who has been at Daydream for a long time, one who is like Daydream itself. In the end, it all converged on that sentence, that she felt like a typical Daydream executive. To find out more specifics from here, I need to access the intranet. Using the intranet of one of Ho Yoo-won's project members was too blatant.
By any chance, has anyone quit the project team?
Quit, you mean?
More like, someone who quit working directly under Director Ho and returned to regular company duties.
The security chief seemed to sink into thought before speaking.
There is that black goat.
Baek Sahyun, later that evening at the Daydream Company housing building.
Hello, civilian.
Wah! Baek Sahyun, who had just closed his front door and turned his head, freaked out upon seeing me climbing through his window. It was because I was wearing a mask on my face. Was it called a Koreyengi mask? In any case, before he could open the front door and run, I hurriedly approached and held out my hand.
Are you all right? Don't be alarmed, it's me.
It felt like a, it's me, scam, but I had solid proof, the paper boat. The expression on Baek Sahyun's face changed completely as he looked at the paper I was holding. Agent?
Yes.
I came this way because I thought it would be easier to talk, but I was actually planning to switch tactics the moment Baek Sahyun lifted his blindfold to confirm who I was. I held out my hand.
Nice to see you, civilian. It's been a while.
So you do know. But this time, instead of lifting his blindfold, Baek Sahyun just looked at me with an irritated expression and slapped my hand away.
Why have you been so hard to contact? Were you planning to run off with my item?
I was trapped in a supernatural disaster. I'm sorry. Thank you for your help last time. I needed to repay that too.
I expected Baek Sahyun to burst with irritation again, but
Hey!
a calm voice came.
Why on earth do you keep doing that job? You can quit even now. Honestly, it seems like it's just low pay and a risk to your life.
I know.
I smiled bitterly.
I suppose I missed the right time to quit with a clear conscience.
Baek Sahyun made a face as if he were clenching his jaw, then sighed and gestured with his chin.
Have a seat or something.
Thank you.
I sat down at the dining table of the company apartment I had once lived in, feeling a little nostalgic, and I asked without thinking.
I have a question too.
What is it?
Why do you keep working at Daydream, civilian?
Baek Sahyun paused for a moment as he was about to sit on the opposite side.
I know that most people who work at this company have a desperate wish. Do you have a wish like that?
I don't know. I had a reason for working here before, but it doesn't matter now. If I keep collecting points, well, I'm sure I'll find a use for a wish ticket eventually. His tone somehow felt like he was trying to gloss over things instead of looking inward at himself. It occurred to me that perhaps Baek Sahyun knew exactly why he wanted a wish ticket. Maybe that's why, as someone with experience, my mouth opened on its own.
You have to be careful with the wish ticket.
Yes.
He's reacting just like I did when I heard something similar from Agent Bronze. No.
It's not that it's ineffective, but that it can be granted in an unexpected way.
Excuse me.
Daydream's wish ticket is not some convenient item that grants the true desire deep in the user's heart.
I said seriously.
I believe it's closer to we did grant the wish, fulfilled within the scope of what it can grant according to the wording of the wish.
How do you know that?
I had the chance to hear a user's testimony. That potion definitely grants wishes in a self-centered way, not a user-centered one.
Wait a minute. Self-centered. Isn't that like Director Chong? You should be grateful. I fulfilled your slogan for you. For a moment, as I remembered why I had come here in the first place, I had a strange feeling. The music box in the potion maker, Director Chong's manipulation, the mutated state of the wish ticket that comes from it. Something felt off.
Anyway, I understand.
Civilian,
What now?
do you know Director Chong Dal-Rey?
Is there anyone who works at a company and doesn't know their own department's director? Of course I know her.
Could you possibly log into the intranet for me? There's something I want to investigate about that director.
What?
I heard you can use the intranet on a PC in the company housing.
Well,
I won't leave any records that could cause you trouble, civilian.
After all, the reason I came here was to find internal information in a way that wouldn't arouse Director Chong's suspicion.
This information is absolutely necessary, please.
I was about to offer some kind of condition, something that would tempt Baek Se-hyun, but
if you try to do anything weird with my account, I'm taking it back.
Thank you.
Never mind. Just think of it as payment for telling me about the wish ticket.
Baek Se-hyun guided me to his PC. I felt a strange sensation as I followed him, so this guy has learned to show a little kindness. He was certainly a far cry from the Viper in the Darkness exploration record, and perhaps even from how he was during the new employee orientation. Could I have had an influence on him? A strange feeling washed over me, but I couldn't dwell on it for long.
Here you go.
I quickly took a seat at Baek Se-hyun's PC and logged into the intranet.
From there, the logo at the top.
Baek Se-hyun's pretentious voice, which had started to explain, trailed off. It was because I was already navigating my personal page on the intranet with practiced ease. I went to the company-wide notice tab and started to read the posts in chronological order, from oldest to newest, instead of searching for Cheong Dale. Directly, I searched by her title, Managing Director, and then, if any related projects came up, I used those to search for more detailed documents. As I did, I realized something. There's an unusually large number of dragon-related darknesses. The Dragonhead Coast Ghost Story, the Dragon Hunting Game Ghost Story, the Hwangyongsa Stone Pagoda Ghost Story, the Han River Dragon Ghost Story. All sorts of darknesses related to dragons were developed or researched under Director Cheong's authority. Of course, since it was the development department, this could be seen as a matter of course. There was a wide variety of other darknesses under Director Chong's purview as well, but even after Director Ho joined, dragon-related darknesses are conspicuously under Director Chong's authority. It seemed that people from Director Cheong's line were assigned to them. I was suddenly reminded of something. The words of the expendable agent from the Blue Dragon team I met in ChapterWing Metropolitan City. I'm telling you, I smelled that vile Guangxiel here. I'm talking about the Daydream Director, that pseudo-religion nut. Guangxiel is a ghost story about an Amugi that failed to become a dragon. Could it be? Is Director Cheong that being? And I had never heard any of the current agents mention this Guangxiel that the agent in ChapterWing Metropolitan City had spoken of. I felt like I had grasped a hint, and then I realized something else. Among the beings within the dragon-related ghost stories under Director Cheong's authority, there was one I could meet right away, a being who was friendly toward me, one I could converse with, a Goodchild. In the dead of night, I entered the Pleasanton Park through my inventory tattoo to meet the Blue Dragon mascot of Blue Dream Water Park. D-3 until the day of disaster. When I opened my eyes in the Flower Golden Resort, the first thing I saw was the giant potion maker. The thing I'd put in my inventory was taking up almost the entire storage space. Trying not to touch the music box next to it, I opened the golden door of the packed storage. I felt the storage space shimmer behind me and turned back into a formless volume. And then,
Good day, Mascot Nim.
I saw the manager, dressed in a neat suit and a monocle, standing in front of the door, the caretaker. The being whose employment contract I had inherited at the Horizon Lodge was no longer a caretaker, but was now working as my assistant manager at this resort. Still retaining the same arrogant air he had when we met at the lodge, he spoke to me with a polite attitude.
Shall I report on the current profits and operational status of the Flower Golden Resort?
That's all right.
I walked down the hallway and out of the resort, my form gradually changing. By the time I rounded a corner and entered the resort's lobby, I had transformed into a yellow, feline mascot with flowering deer antlers on my head.
I'm going out.
You're heading to the Blue Dream Zone adjacent to the territory. I shall see you off.
I waved my 2 hands warmly at the mass-produced mascots who were waving at me, and at the non-human guests who had come out to go to the newly opened theme park, and were now greeting me as well, then moved quickly. I can't let myself be influenced. The moment I arrived at the resort, a comfortable sense of omnipotence settled into my mind. The feeling that this was my domain. This was the first time I'd taken a non-human form since regaining my human shape at the Balance Tribunal. But this was the right form to have a proper conversation with the blue mascot. Be careful. I waddled my soft, fur-covered body forward, and just beyond the resort gate, a figure that had been pacing and looking this way, as if it had sensed my return and was waiting, jumped and waved its hand. A blue dragon character.
Good child.
The Blue Dream mascot. Perhaps because I was consciously keeping my distance, the blue mascot's voice sounded like complete mascot language, just like before. I ran to the gate.
Welcome.
When I hugged the mascot, the sweet and cool scent of the sea wafted from within the giant, cutely deformed plush doll.
Good to see you.
It was true. The eeriness and unfamiliarity I used to feel when looking at the mascot were still there somewhere, but a sense of gladness came first. Maybe this is what it means to get used to something.
I want to ask.
But the purpose of my visit today was to ask a question. At my polite request, the blue dragon mascot nodded its head.
Go ahead.
Looking at the blue mascot, who thumped its chest as if to say, "Ask me anything," I asked quietly.
What were you originally?
The mascot's movements stopped. The mass-produced blue mascots that had been guiding the guests also froze for a moment. With only the background music of the pleasant theme park playing, I opened my mouth again.
Before becoming a mascot?
The blue mascot's doll head looked down at me. The eyes of the giant doll stared without reflection.
Stop it!
I pointed at him, at the something inside the mascot costume.
I saw it. What is inside?
After the pleasant theme park closed for the day, after the mascot costume lost its vitality, what was left inside? The contents. Because of the advice to not look, I hadn't seen it directly, but I knew from the shadow, the black silhouette, and the sound. It was the form of a melting dragon, a long body, a tail, whiskers, scales. Its identity, which I could guess from this deformed figure, was a blue dragon, and I saw something else too, Magic Bunny. I presumed that what was originally inside it had a form similar to a Western dragon. I remembered the bizarre statue that looked as if it had been trying to create its original form by weaving together the body parts of guests it had collected. Of course, Magic Bunny had already completely melted into an amorphous lump of flesh, as if it had lost all its identity while inside the costume. Perhaps the costume itself has an influence. Magic Bunny had worn the costume of a red rabbit, but the Blue Dream mascot was a blue dragon. What if that was the reason this being was holding on without completely collapsing? Where on earth did the beings inside these costumes come from? I had a theory about that.
Were you captured somewhere else?
Another ghost story. The Pleasant Theme Park was, of course, a board game created by the Cheerful Research Institute. Weren't the entities from other ghost stories processed into mascots by the Cheerful Research Institute, which processes ghost stories into less dangerous toys? If so, everything made sense.
Why a mascot?
The blue mascot's horns drooped, its round body slumped on the bench, looking shabby and pitiful.
The place I was disappeared. I could not protect it.
A feeling like a bitter pain was transmitted. Homesickness. And an image reflexively came to mind. The image of this mascot sitting across from the tattooist at the Moonlight Tattoo Shop. That tattooist was from the Mermaid Tomb. The deep sea. Under the sea. I looked around my surroundings. At the theme park, designed to look like a seaside, the appearance of the Blue Dream Water Park. That deep-sea city, contaminated by a biological disaster, had another name, albeit one caused by a hallucination. Sparkling Dragon Palace. That in itself was proof. It was the name of the place where a dragon had been.
Mermaid Princess, did you come from there?
The blue mascot froze like a still life painting. Then, as if looking around, as if it couldn't be caught, it glanced around the theme park and took my hand.
That statement is correct.
A sharp pain like before didn't come, but the sense of being overwhelmed was immense. As a being occupying a similar role, I digest that overwhelming feeling very slowly, and I understand I was right. This blue mascot was an entity from that mysterious deep-sea city, the place that was destroyed as the biological disaster spread, becoming the Mermaid Tomb, and that biological disaster was instigated by Director Chong. For the verification of Angel's Sigh, The music box melody that had caused a disaster in Segwang Metropolitan City, probably. A state of darkness that was developed and improved at the Daydream Laboratory. I moved a mass-produced mascot to bring me a piece of paper, then held it up for the blue mascot. On it was the smiley face emoticon logo of the Cheerful Research Institute.
Do you know it?
I know.
It knew which group had created this pleasant theme park and pushed it into being a mascot. I could feel a faint aversion, but the nuance was closer to resignation than hatred or resentment.
I know, because I had nowhere else to go anyway.
I felt a faint sadness from within the mascot costume.
Then, do you know this?
I took the blue mascot's hand. I could feel the massive being inside the costume, holding back its thoughts so as not to affect me too much. I slowly moved my fist over its hand, forming a word.
Guangqiu.
Countless meanings were contained and conveyed within it, like the language of mascots. The image of Director Chong, filled with my fear and wariness, sixifying something related to this theme park ghost story. The blue mascot looks at me. I hear it.
I do not know that name,
It doesn't know the being's name.
but I know.
It knows that a separate entity was involved in this matter. At that moment, I received a strange image from the mascot's tightly held hand. A low-quality videotape-like image. Mascot spinning crazily in front of a powered-down ride. A lump of flesh being injected into an empty mascot costume. The shape of a giant creature being crushed. A scream, the wavering sound of the pleasant theme park's music. Someone's hearty laughter. The process of making a mascot. This time, I endured the explosion of images amidst a shock that felt like my eyeballs were being squeezed out. The information, which included the pain the other had felt, seemed to violently scramble my brain, but the laughter sounded familiar. It was the sound I had heard recorded on the panel on the rooftop of Segwang City Hall, Director Chong. Amidst the shock, I realized my deduction was correct. The mascots were indeed dragons from different origins. He had taken powerful entities judged as dragons from within ghost stories and deliberately crammed them into this theme park. As if to mock. No, it was a bit strange from the start. Can the being before my eyes be considered that evil and dangerous of a ghost story? Perhaps. Because I'd seen so many creepy ghosts and horrific entities in insane ghost stories. The blue mascot felt bizarre, but not evil. If anything, it felt closer to a supernatural being. It deviates a bit from the original purpose of the Cheerful Research Institute. The result doesn't align with that research institute's priorities. That, too, seemed to mean that Director Chong was involved in this process. Did she deliberately contaminate it with a biological disaster to make it a dangerous being? What on earth could be the reason? Does she want to suppress dragons? A clear tendency was emerging. I decided that as soon as I got back, I would investigate the various legends related to the Imugi named Guangxiol in more detail. It was what I did best, after all. Remembering and applying the rules and principles of a ghost story was the essence of the catharsis found in the clear cases of the Darkness Exploration Record. Figuring out Director Chong's principles of action might help in ending the Segwang Metropolitan City disaster. There's no time. There were now 3 days left until the lockdown broke and hell was unleashed. Let's move quickly.
Thank you.
Just as I was about to say thank you and get up, the moment I looked at the blue mascot, a sudden premonition flashed through my mind. Blue Dragon, Chongryong, and due to the Segwang Metropolitan City incident, one disaster management bureau team had its name completely erased, and that name was the Blue Dragon team. Looking at the blue mascot, I opened my mouth.
Do you remember? Blue clothes?
The garish colors of the theme park reflect in the black eyes of the Blue Dragon mascot. Goblin fire, however.
I don't know, I have forgotten.
I see.
I simply gave the mascot a hug. The mascot seemed a little surprised, but it waddled and hugged me back, looking slightly shy and pleased. I could hear the laughter of the theme park visitors and a formal tutting sound.
Such pretense. At this rate, it will come off as detestable even through a camera.
I was wondering why it was so quiet. But that cold, sweat-inducing insult actually lightened my heart a little.
Good child, be careful.
And after the hug, the blue mascot speaks seriously.
Stay here, it's safe.
Indeed. If I stayed inside this theme park, I would probably be fine even if the Segwang Metropolitan City disaster spread nationwide. If I re-established my identity as the manager of the resort, if I gave up on living as a human. I could even bring all my other acquaintances here to take refuge. I could just hire them all as resort employees. No, I'd have to hire them quickly before they died. Then they could survive peacefully in this resort while retaining as much of their ego as possible. But I couldn't, because I knew people who would never accept that, and I wanted to survive as a human. That's why I wanted to go home.
It's okay.
Therefore, I just thumped my chest confidently.
Are you okay?
Are you sure you won't end up melting like Magic Bunny?
I will endure.
I hear a voice that sounds like a vow.
Good child, same here.
That's right. You could say we're in a similar situation, in the sense that we ended up in this predicament thanks to Director Chong. However, the blue mascot seemed to be trying to tell me something until the very end.
My gift? Remember it.
I think it's talking about the scale I received last time. It seems like it was torn from its original body.
Thank you. Good child.
I got up from the bench and left the blue mascot. The blue dragon mascot, waving its hands energetically, had a cute feel to it, as befitting a product of a theme park ghost story. But I now had an idea of the being beneath that costume, something suppressed and hidden. So inside my own mascot costume, I made a pained and complex expression, an emotion that could not be expressed outside the costume. Back at the resort, I immediately prepared to go back, but the manager approached me, saying he had something to report.
This is the regular report on my remaining employment contract period.
Wait a minute. Considering I was missing for 293 days, plus the time I was bounced from the security team to the project team before that, it should be around 600 days.
The employment contract period you have inherited is 1,241 days, 6 hours, 11 minutes, and 23 seconds, based on the solar calendar.
Phew, no, there's still more than a year left.
There is still time left, right?
That is correct.
With the Segwang Metropolitan City countdown at 3 days, this grace period feels more than generous. It feels ample.
Shall I report again when the employment contract period has less than 365 days remaining, based on the solar calendar?
Yes.
Does he perhaps want to continue working at this resort? I felt a sense of desire from this manager, but I was in no position to care about that. So I was about to leave the resort without a second thought when he spoke again.
Would you perhaps like to hear another report?
What kind of report?
I changed back from a mascot to my human form. Fortunately, it was possible without much strain. I felt a little uncomfortable and cold, but I forgot that sensation at the manager's words.
It is a report concerning the resort pop-up store established in the underground lease space.
He was talking about the space in Segwang Metropolitan City's Twilight Station, where I had the 2 Hyun stay.
Is there a problem?
It is good news. In 3 days, there is a prospect of improved profitability for the said store due to a reduction in transmission fees.
A chill ran down my spine. He meant that the Segwang Metropolitan City lockdown would be lifted. Once the lockdown is lifted, the transmission fees will change.
Is that all you have to say?
In addition, there is an opinion I wish to present.
The manager said.
If you permit it, I will take this opportunity to actively purchase additional land for the resort using the pop-up store as a channel.
What?
We can acquire the entire underground space and develop it into a complex resort centered around a monorail.
I understood his words a beat later. He was suggesting we devour the entire Segwang Special City subway ghost story and turn it into a branch of the Flower Golden Resort. This is insane. If I were to grow the Pleasant Theme Park ghost story even bigger, my condition would.
No, that's all right. Please put it on hold for now.
I will proceed as you have instructed.
The manager withdrew.
It sounds a bit presumptuous, but isn't it a decent proposal, my friend?
No, phew, if I did something like that.
All the people who fled underground could enjoy your charming little resort, a luxury they don't deserve. Just as Mr. Rodeer advertised through Dreams on the Train. Of course, it all depends on your choice, friend.
In the worst-case scenario, perhaps.
Manager?
I turned around.
I'd like you to explain the method.
It was nearly midnight by the time I left the resort.
Grape C. Where on earth have you been all?
Agent Choi stopped talking when he saw my complexion. I rubbed my face and smiled.
I'm fine. I was doing more research related to the conclusion. Agent Choi, were you talking with Ho Yuan in the counseling room?
You could say that.
I knew he was hiding something. He probably knew, too, that I was hiding something. Agent Choi put down the potion maker repair log written by the researchers that he had been reading and spoke again.
Grape's Eye? About the conclusion method you're trying to attempt. It boils down to swapping the machine on the rooftop, right?
Yes.
And I added firmly.
And for that attempt, it would be best for one person to do it first. The more people there are, the more mediums there will be for contamination.
Is that so?
Yes. I'm saying this based on my experience of having gone there myself, and in the same vein, it would be most efficient for me, who has been there myself, to handle it quickly.
Is that so?
Yes.
All right, let's do that.
Agent Choi stepped back. I slowly held back a sigh.
Then shall we get ready?
Yes.
D2 until the day of disaster. It was past midnight, and only 2 days remained until the day of disaster. Inside the hideout, Agent Choi and I sat beside the still sleeping agent, Bronze, each of us organizing our information. Nothing had changed from when I had woken up a few days ago. Silence flowed between us. The seal will be released in the evening of the day, around the hour of the dog. If you want to make a move before then, that morning is your last chance. There really wasn't much time left, which meant we couldn't go on like this. I let out a breath and put down what I was looking at.
Agent Choi, what are you hiding?
What do you mean?
I know there's something you're not telling me. We can't afford to spend our time like this. I looked at him. This is an extinction-class supernatural disaster. It's a situation where even if we share everything we know and plan our operation together, there's no guarantee our attempt will succeed. Besides, the termination method I'm trying to use hasn't been definitively proven, so there are bound to be flaws. It'll be a problem if the people entering the disaster aren't in sync.
Right, you know that well.
Agent Choi said in a casual tone, his eyes still fixed on what he was reading.
Grape Sai, the method you're trying to use is bogus.
Excuse me?
I said it's bogus.
Thud. Agent Choi placed the researcher's potion maker repair log on the floor. I've memorized it all. I also heard from the researchers you smuggled out. But no matter how I look at it, I can't deduce that this machine has the ability to end the metropolitan city's supernatural disaster. You knew it too, didn't you? Your plan isn't just flawed, it's a complete gamble.
It's not that bad.
What do you mean, it's not that bad? Do you trust that note left by Lee Kangyeon so much? That's not a hint you found in a supernatural phenomenon. It's just a note someone left behind. And you're going to believe that? I said.
I thought it was worth a shot, given the circumstances.
No. Agent Choi's eyes sunken stared at me. This isn't taking a shot, it's running an experiment.
It might be true, so I'll risk my life alone to try it out, isn't that it?
You too, Agent Choi,
I said, suppressing my anger. While rescuing people until now, haven't you ever tried an escape method based on a small clue? Of course I have. But willingly walking into a death trap is different. I don't do things like that. No, you do. If the flow of events hadn't changed when I cleared Lookie Mart, you were the agent who would have gone up to the 4th floor and disappeared. The words rose to my throat, but I couldn't say them. And another thing.
I'm not walking into a death trap.
Oh yeah. Then let me ask you. You said people go crazy when they hear that damn music box, so how were you planning to prevent that? It didn't seem like you were looking for an item these past few days. I told you. For some strange reason, I wasn't greatly affected by that mental contamination.
Agent Choi,
I realized.
You never believed me from the start, did you?
So you're saying that if the disaster is terminated right before the seal is released, the civilians might survive. That wasn't an agreement. This man had no intention of cooperating with my attempt from the very beginning. He didn't believe what I said. Suggesting we try to terminate it was just a lie to reassure me.
It wasn't a lie.
Agent Choi stood up from his seat.
I'm just trying a different method.
What kind of method? If you had such a method in the first place, shouldn't you have told me about it? Ah.
You had no intention of moving with me.
Come to think of it, it would be easy. After saying you'll enter the special city, you could just put me to sleep instead of letting me enter.
Grapes C.
You were aiming for that, just pretending to go along with what I wanted all this time, weren't you?
A different method? What's so different if you try it instead of me?
It is different.
Agent Choi looked at me with a weary face, then rubbed his face and stood before me. He was about to speak in a calm voice. So Liam, at the very least, I won't try a method I don't even know is a trap or not. I'll choose a method where I can predict the outcome as much as possible.
I've already dismantled the trap.
What if there's another one? What if the note itself is a trap? Do you think others can't think of what you've thought of?
Even so, we already discussed that things can't get any worse.
Right, even if it's a trap, things won't get worse, except for the person doing it dying or ending up in a state worse than death.
Stop it!
Agent Choi and I gasped for breath and turned our heads. Agent Hagium, who had just entered the hideout, was looking at us and shouted with a hardened face. This country might end in 2 days, and you two are fighting amongst yourselves. Do you have that much time to spare? The country won't end. The Disaster Management Bureau will re-initiate the seal, I said, as if vomiting the words without realizing it. But Segwang Metropolitan City will remain trapped in a ghost story where its citizens die repeatedly every day. That's
Agent Grapes.
Agent Hagium looked into me. What I saw in her eyes was a worried calmness.
Where is that impatience coming from?
If I had heard that from Young Yoon, I would have understood. But you don't have any special ties to that city. Could it be that emotion? Is it coming from that executive from the Fox counseling room, the one who was said to be a supernatural being of the special city? I was conflicted.
I may have been influenced, but that's not all it is.
It's difficult and frustrating to keep being vague and silent. What if I try being more honest? I haven't been able to until now. So maybe if I confess everything this time, something might change. After hesitating, I finally opened my mouth as if spewing it all out.
I want to terminate this darkness, no, this disaster.
It seems like you have a personal reason. Why?
Huh.
I need Dream Essence liquid.
I clenched both fists and lowered my gaze. Maybe this time, the liquid used to make witch tickets at Daydream. This time, I found a way to use it properly. It's not the dangerous kind of wish ticket the company gives out. It's the original. The Cheerful Research Institute, that organization originally developed it, and considering the group's purpose, it will really grant wishes, so...
Agent Grapes.
It's true. The wish tickets produced at Daydream were a distorted version, but this time it will be real. And Agent Hagium patted my back, as if calming down someone who wasn't in their right mind.
You don't believe me.
I sank.
Yes, I couldn't tell you, because I thought that would happen, but...
Kim Solium.
Agent Choi sat down in front of me, and a pleading yet firm voice was heard.
You can't go home.
Calm down. You've experienced it too. Don't believe anyone who says you can go back. To the past, okay? But he's saying this because he doesn't know my real situation. It's natural that a rational person wouldn't believe that I really have a home in a world other than this one. And he keeps saying something, but the living must go on living. You have to move forward, not be tied to the past. I know it's that kind of advice and shock therapy for encouragement. But what the hell do you know? I lowered the hand that had almost grabbed Agent Choi by the collar, but the words had already spilled out.
I can go back because I'm not from here.
What?
Agent Choi asked. This whole situation, this place is a ghost story and a supernatural disaster to me.
What does that mean?
I backed away.
I'm sorry.
Grapes, Kim Solium.
I stumbled backward out of the hideout. Then I ran down looking for a door.
Kim Solium.
I was about to hang a nameplate on the door of an abandoned container, which could barely be called a door, and cross over to the Fox counseling room, but I stopped in my tracks. I can't go on like this. Don't be overwhelmed by the situation just because it feels unbearable. If I keep avoiding it, I'll just keep avoiding it. Right.
Agent Choi.
I turned around, heads still bowed, took a deep breath and spoke. I'm sure this seems frustrating from your perspective. You probably don't understand what I'm saying. I could see Agent Choi's feet stop. And if you're already thinking of another, more certain method, I know my attempt might just look like throwing an egg at a rock. But in truth, I know that the certain method you mentioned is also a crazy method where you shoulder the entire burden yourself.
So let's be fair,
I said, looking back.
I too am going to try my best.
If you ever feel like cooperating, I hope you'll come to the counseling room then. I then opened the door and crossed over into the counseling room. Click.
Mr. Rodeer?
I let out a deep sigh. Then I sat on the floor of the counseling room and took out the dream. Collector from within my tattoo. It was intact. I can collect it. I wonder how Agent Choi will react. Even if the agents couldn't cooperate, there were plenty of alternatives. I can proceed with the plan. After all, getting help with entry, movement, and backup is also possible from this counseling room. I lifted my head and looked at Ho Yuan, who was sitting at the waiting room table.
What did you and Agent Choi talk about yesterday?
Pardon?
Did he by any chance ask you to secretly put me to sleep when it's my turn to enter, so I don't enter the special city? His mouth opened.
That's right.
He said he would try a more humane and safer way to seal the disaster, while saving the citizens of Segwang Metropolitan City. Just as I thought, Agent Choi was planning to interfere with the sealing ritual. He was planning to interfere with the Disaster Management Bureau's sealing ritual, which would be conducted again as soon as the current seal was released to change something. The fact that Agent Choi had been tracking the sealing ritual at the ritual site for the past few days wasn't just to grasp the situation, but clearly in preparation for that method. And of course, it wouldn't be an ordinary method. How on earth can one person handle a seal that was completed by repeatedly sacrificing hundreds of thousands, maybe over 1 million people, every single day? And he planned to stop my method of trying to terminate it before the seal was released by pretending to agree, then backstabbing me. Did Agent Hagium know too? My head grew cold. My mouth was dry with impatience. So did you agree to stop my entry and just put me to sleep? I told him I'd think about it, but he did say that since there wasn't much time left, he needed an answer within today or tomorrow. A peculiar smile graced Ho Yuan's face. He seemed to dislike me quite a bit, yet he asked so earnestly. I see. Through the shock, a very faint, stinging feeling welled up and then disappeared, because I knew his decision was definitely made out of concern for me. Ha! If that's the case, it's better that things turned out this way before it got to that point. If anything, my head has cleared. I tried to think that way. Besides, to be perfectly honest, I knew that there was definitely some truth in what Agent Choi said. I barely delved into the possibility of failure. I only thought about how to make this method succeed. Thinking about the possibility of failure would only make me anxious, and there was no alternative. Yes, right now I'm fixated on a single possibility, because this kind of termination would be an unparalleled good result. I'm interpreting all information with a bias toward that outcome. But if I step away from that, the thing that feels most out of place to me right now is Mr. Ho Yuan. Yes? Why isn't Director Chong storming in here right now and harming us all? Director Chong almost captured me when I escaped from Sigwang Metropolitan City. That means she probably has a rough idea of how much I've found out. With her personality, would she just set up the potion maker's music box trap and leave me be? Is that rational? If the plan I'm making is truly effective, I'd think she'd try to stop this. Project itself by destroying this counseling room, even if it's a bit of a stretch. But Ho Yuan, who had been looking at me with a slightly surprised expression, seemed to be lost in thought for a moment, then shook his head. I don't think she would do that. Is there a reason? Well, that's because I am an executive of Daydream, and this project is under my jurisdiction as an executive, right? I don't think Director Cheong would respect you just because you're a fellow executive. That's right. It's closer to her abiding by the rules of this pharmaceutical company. A slightly sinister look flickered in Ho Yuan's eyes. She can't just one-dimensionally attack an executive of the same rank, especially over a company project, without a proper reason. It's even more so for a company executive to use force to sabotage her own department's project that's producing good results without any justification. So she can attack through internal company politics, but she won't take matters into her own hands personally. Correct. I realized something. Director Chong had attacked Ho Yuan with performance pressure and such while he was digging into Segwang Metropolitan City with this project, but she didn't respond by trying to kill him on the street. As for me, if she really wanted to put me back under her direct command, she could have tried to physically abduct me when I was out on project business, but she didn't. If there's one thing that being who uses any and all means to achieve her goals, desires, and pleasures cares about, that is, perhaps it's Daydream Inc. itself, Director Chong probably prioritizes the rules of this company above all else. I recalled Director Chong, who always had the words "my company" on her lips. Perhaps it might be the only rule she follows. Perhaps so. I nodded my head with a strange feeling. My mind felt a little calmer. Right. Probably Director Chong has more tricks up her sleeve. The most important thing is that my employment contract is in that executive's hands. But I also made my own preparations at the resort for the worst case scenario, so I won't be taken down without a fight. And I had absolutely no intention of just letting Agent Choi interfere with the sealing ritual. Then he'll be the one to die. Or he'll be the one to end up in a state worse than death. A chill ran down my spine thinking about what he was trying to handle. It's more rational to first try my method, which has a chance of leaving even me the one performing it unharmed. But I don't know if such words will get through to him. Moreover, a groan escaped me as I remembered my own self-exposing outburst.
Mr. Oh dear! How about getting some sleep for now?
Pardon?
It seems you haven't slept properly for about 2 days. In this state, I'm worried you'll die on the street from a ridiculous mistake, let alone terminate the disaster. Shouldn't you sleep first before you go? That way you can make judgments with a clear mind.
What if the agents spirit me away while I'm sleeping?
You say something very disappointing.
I could see an expression that seemed to be blinking its eyes with a hint of pretense.
You can just ask me to prevent that. I'm your employee, too, Mr. Noru. You remember, right? I signed an employment contract, too.
I remember. I promise. I won't arbitrarily hand over your identity, nor will I interfere with your sleep.
I understand.
I finally nodded my head. Then I went into the long-term inpatient room and got on the bed.
Sleep well, Mr. Rowe, dear.
And so I fell asleep, and when I opened my eyes again, I saw a being looking down at me from the bedside.
Hello.
A familiar person I hadn't seen in a very long time. I opened my mouth, my voice hoarse.
Miss Dolphin.
It's been a really long time, hasn't it?
The small, smiling employee's curly white hair sparkles in the sunlight beyond the counseling room curtains.
I heard you're going in for the darkness termination this time. I'll be providing my full support.
I nodded and shook her hand.
Thank you.
And until I re-entered the Segwang Special City subway, Agent Choi did not visit the counseling room. Re-entering the Segwang City subway.
This way.
Yep!
I was walking along the tracks with Deputy Lee Seong-hae holding a flashlight. There was enough space to stand to the side if a subway approached, and even if I were hit and killed, I would just wake up outside, so my steps were calm. However, while keeping my ears pricked for any unexpected situations, I struck up a conversation with Deputy Lee Seong-hae. Thanks. To the sleep I'd gotten, my mind was clearer than before. Even when I replayed my conversation with Agent Choi, I realized it clearly. He never believed me from the start. So, you're saying you think you got caught up in a supernatural disaster and ended up here. The world suddenly changed, and you got some equipment. Previously, when I told Agent Choi I was from another world and wanted to go back, I had been relieved by his calm reaction. I thought he had accepted my situation. But it wasn't acceptance. It was just caution. Had he already decided back then that I couldn't be trusted? Why? He had definitely seen children from other worlds at the Mermaid Tomb and at the Sparkling Dragon Palace. Things like parallel worlds aren't such a strange concept in this world of ghost stories. Couldn't he have, at least, believed that much? For some reason, my mind felt dazed. Into that haze, Deputy Lee Song-hae's distinct voice rang out cleanly.
Have you been well?
Ah.
I heard you fell from the train shelter onto the city and didn't wake up, but you still saved people even then.
I managed a faint smile.
That was, well, more Miss Goral and Bronze's doing than mine.
The three of you saved them together.
Up to this point, the atmosphere was heartwarming.
But those people from the shelter didn't seem that nice. It would have been better if a few of the mean ones there had died instead.
Pardon?
I heard Bronze hasn't woken up yet either. It just feels a bit unfair. I wish we could change it even now.
Wow, the shock snapped my dazed mind to attention. Right, this is who Deputy Lee Song-hae was. I barely managed to reply.
There was no way to do that. And the people from the train shelter, most of them can't be called particularly bad people.
I added a final thought.
People tend to act irrationally in extreme situations.
As I said that, a thought suddenly occurred to me. I wonder if I looked that way too? Every time I said I wanted to go home.
That's true,
Deputy Lee Seong-hae said.
But even when one is under psychological pressure and makes a choice that makes you go, no, with some people, even the wrong choices they make are kind-hearted ones. Like you, Mr. Rodeer.
Me? I don't think so.
No, you were a really good person even when you were mascot, even at times when you didn't need to be good. That's truly amazing.
Thank you.
Her strangely subjective and firm words were oddly comforting.
Anyway, Mascot's shop is doing fine, so I wasn't actually that worried while you were missing.
That's a real relief.
God, I felt a sense of ease for some reason. There was, strangely enough, a comfort in her extremism. I'd broken into a cold sweat before, thinking she might stab me if I got on her bad side. And she decided I was a bad person, but now I found her clarity refreshing, in the way she gave unhesitating answers to any question. That's why I ended up asking this. A question I hadn't been able to ask before because it was sensitive and related to me.
May I ask what Dolphin's wish is?
Mine?
Yes. The wish you want to make if you get a wish ticket.
A smile spread across Deputy Lee Song-hae's lips, a peculiar one.
Should I be honest with you?
I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
She moved closer and whispered in my ear.
I've actually already saved up all the points for a wish ticket. 500,000 points. All of them.
I turned to look at Deputy Lee Song-hae with eyes full of astonishment. Her mouth was still smiling.
The others have contracts to receive a wish ticket if this project succeeds, right? I just asked to be paid in points based on the grade of the dream essence liquid we get.
Plus, she said she gathered them faster because she entered so many high-grade ghost stories for her regular duties. And so, the points she had relentlessly collected surpassed 500,000 just a week ago.
Oh, Deputy Manager Butterfly has probably almost saved up enough too, you know? She might have earned more points than me, but it seems she spends a lot on this company's special painkillers.
Then,
I swallowed.
why haven't you resigned?
Deputy Lee Song-hai, who had been talking as if her thoughts were flowing elsewhere, stopped and stared at me.
I haven't decided on my wish yet.
What does that mean?
Didn't you join the company because you had a wish?
Well, I mean, I have a wish in my heart, but I'm still thinking about how to make it come true.
Ah.
Because you have to make the wish in a single sentence?
Yep, and I want the actual world to change. Not for me to just go to a world where my wish has come true.
That, I think, will be difficult.
Right, that's what I'm worried about.
Deputy Lee Song-hae, walking unhesitatingly along the track, spoke just as unhesitatingly her wish was.
I wish only good people were left in the world. So I thought about it, and it seemed kind of unfair for bad people to become good without any price. So originally I was going to wish for all the bad people to disappear.
Cold sweat trickled down my back.
By any chance, the standard for a bad person is?
You know, the immoral and unethical people. The ones who push others in the darkness to save themselves. I think it's about half the population.
If you make that wish, all those people will disappear.
Yep.
It felt almost like madness. I wondered if this was how I sounded when I said I wanted to go home. Utterly sincere to myself, but sounding like a madman's ravings to an outsider. Is it that bad? No, that seems rude to Deputy Lee Song-hae. But then again, is it okay to be rude to someone who is about to wish away half of humanity without a second thought?
Just going to a world where bad people are gone is kind of lame. I want the bad people who are here now to die.
Wow.
How about a wish to clean up the environment, like the development of sustainable energy resources?
Oh, that's good. Then it would be beneficial for the Earth in the long run, too.
Yes, but Deputy Lee Seong-hai didn't say, I'll make that my wish. I don't think I'll ever be able to forget that fact. Ha, a message read. Oh, my friend certainly has a talent for interviewing. What will you ask next? I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I swallowed quietly and walked along the tracks.
A train is coming.
And after letting a few trains coming from behind us pass.
Is that it over there?
Yes.
I finally found the cursed subway zone, connected to the line leading to the maintenance track that the train shelter had escaped through. Unlike the cursed zones in other stations, I could see a familiar feature. For instance, when I shone my flashlight far beyond on where the tracks connected, I could see something at the very end. Safety first. During maintenance, workers must form pairs. Through that passage, the train shelter had escaped to the surface of Segwang Metropolitan City. I glanced at Deputy Lee Seong-hae. It seemed she had only heard a summarized version of what the outside of Segwang Metropolitan City was really like.
Then shall we go in and check the route before we go for real?
I shook my head.
I'll go alone. I don't know from what point it counts as outside, so I'll be very careful.
Huh? If we're going to be careful anyway, let's do it together.
Deputy Lee Song-hae began to stride toward the maintenance track. No, I was about to say something, but in the end I gave up and hurriedly followed her. I had no confidence I could persuade her. I'll just have to watch carefully and notice any signs. And so we walked the straight track up the inclined path. Thanks to the grooves in the tracks, we could plant our feet securely and walk upwards.
This is actually kind of nice. We don't have to worry about trains coming from behind anymore.
Yes.
Thump thump. Our footsteps echoed in the dark track, upward, ever upward, toward the surface. To shake off the pressure, I asked slowly.
So, how have you been with the new project team?
I've been great. There were a lot of familiar faces, so it wasn't awkward or anything. But it was a shame that a lot of the good people were gone. Oh, I eat a lot of snacks with the security chief. And Badger, he really only talks to me when we're in the subway.
Deputy Lee Song-hae, in a bright voice, gave me news of the security team and Team A.
You can probably take people from Team A if you want this time, Mr. Rodeer. Director Ho said they must cooperate.
I see.
It seemed most of the people I knew were doing well. Of course, she wasn't just sharing bright stories in her bright voice.
Oh, Assistant Manager Pony is doing well too. But she keeps hanging around the reopened body casino. I don't think she's going to live long.
Yes.
You don't mean you're going to make that happen yourself, do you? In any case, hearing about their daily lives had the effect of returning my sunken mental state to its original track. I continued to talk as I walked the dark railway. And then, at some point, after walking up for a long time,
I don't think we need the flashlight.
Sunlight shone on my head. An exit was visible at the far end of the straight track, the point where the underground ended. Goosebumps rose on my skin as the natural light, piercing through from there, shone down the underground track and reached my eyes. That's it. I knew instinctively. That exit was the dividing line between the surface and the underground of Segwang Metropolitan City, however.
Why don't we need the flashlight?
Pardon. I heard Deputy Lee Seong-hae's voice. I raised my hand and pointed slightly at the exit where sunlight was pouring in.
Can you see it?
Waving her flashlight, Deputy Lee Seong-hae shrugged.
A pitch black exit? I see something like that.
It seemed the sunlight was visible only to me. Is it because I've been to the surface once before? I had a feeling that was it. Because I had once belonged to the outside, my senses were probably open to perceiving it.
Shall we go?
Wait a minute.
I managed to frantically grab the shoulder of Deputy Lee Seong-hae, who was about to forge ahead again. But no, why is she so strong?
Let's go together, slowly and carefully.
Yep.
I walked forward. I kept the flashlight on, just in case. The closer I got to the exit, the more I felt a strange pull and an impulse. I feel like I'm going to be sucked in. Was it calling to me, the one who had escaped the blockade?
It doesn't look like there's anything there. Do you see something beyond it?
To me, yes.
It seemed that due to the blockade's influence, the surface outside felt like nothing to Deputy Lee Seong-hae. A state of cognitive impairment. Who? My hand gripping the flashlight grew sweaty with tension.
Dolphin, if things go wrong, can you pull me back?
Of course.
I slowly took one step at a time, checking to make sure no sudden incidents occurred. Thump, thump, only my height's worth of distance remained to the exit. Then the exit, which had only shown sunlight, began to shimmer. It was a strangely distorted and obscured view of the outside. Just like when I looked out the window from the train shelter after escaping to the surface, I could see the scenery beyond the track's exit, but it was fainter than before. Looked like I could almost see it. It seemed to be churning, somehow. Is it because the blockade is being lifted? I suppressed the urge to jump in and finished my inspection in front of it. If I go out, it will definitely be the surface of Segwang Metropolitan City. That's it. I was about to pull back when it happened. Something began to appear in the churning scenery outside the exit. I stopped in my tracks. My eyes, now accustomed to seeing the outside, had distinguished a silhouette in the middle of the distorted view. A person. The silhouette of a large, familiar person.
Manager?
Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun, the leader of Team D, Lizard, was standing stock still in front of the passage. Wait, why is he here? I wondered if I was hallucinating, but the silhouette became clearer the more I stared. And I was able to make out the silhouettes of two people behind him as well. Wait, if there are two people, the deputy manager and agent, at their predicted identities, I almost succumbed to the urge to go outside the exit. Don't!
Yep!
I turned to look at Deputy Lee Seong-hae, who had pulled me back and barely managed to speak.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, is there something outside?
Yes.
I clenched my fists and stepped back. Then I took a deep breath and thought, is there a way to communicate? I can't hear them and I can't read their lips. Ah! I took out a pen and paper and wrote, "Roe Deer is here." Then I crumpled the paper and threw it out beyond the sunlight. The exit leading to the surface. The crumpled paper that left my hand flew in a parabola toward that place where the distorted figures were reflected and was swallowed.
Oh, could you see the paper go through?
Not really. It just disappeared.
Who? Did that actually make it outside? I held my breath and waited. The silhouettes outside the exit rippled as if a pebble had been thrown into a spring, and then thud. The crumpled paper came back into the railway tunnel. I resisted the urge to pick up the thing, rolling on the ground, leaving it for a moment, and only after confirming there was nothing else amiss did I hastily grab it.
How strange. It was like it disappeared for a second, then hit a wall and bounced back.
I see.
And the same words were written on the paper I unfolded. The paper read,
I see, Manager. Did you escape to the outside?
And the moment I read that sentence, I saw the manager's handwriting disappear from the crumpled paper, as if it were being dragged back to the surface of the sealed Segwang Metropolitan City. I pressed down hard and wrote a reply below the vanished words. Yes. I quickly wrote that I was able to get out with the counselor's help, and that I was safe.
Are there people out there who haven't woken up yet?
Yes.
And was it impossible to escape through the outskirts? The three of them have still not woken up. Circumstantially, the escape failed. It seemed that, unlike with the train, there was a problem with leaving the city on foot. Is it because it was through the ground and not through the air? And when I thought about why these people were standing at this railway exit, perhaps Manager Lee Jae-hyun had a similar idea to mine. So you came here to find a way back into the subway, using the passage the train shelter came out of? This maintenance railway was the only way we had experienced getting from the underground to the surface. So he must have been researching whether it was possible to return to the subway, not to May 4th, by going in reverse. Sure enough, a short answer was written on the paper I sent. It read,
Yes.
"Escaping through the outskirts is not suitable for those two." So that was it. Wait a minute. Does that mean he met those two over and over and brought them all the way here each time? How many times did you try? Have you been trying continuously while May 4th repeats? I anxiously crumpled it up again and threw it outside. Once, again the paper was swallowed by the outside, and then it returned. However, the next message read,
It has not been repeated.
Huh? My mind went blank the moment I read the next words.
2 hours and 17 minutes have passed since Mr. Rodeer disappeared from the collapsed station facility.
Wait, you mean it's still the same day I escaped?
Yes.
I steadied my mind, which had been on the verge of reeling. Oh my goodness, it's as if only the time over there has frozen. What on earth is happening? But the moment I saw the exit, shimmering and reflecting the silhouettes, a prediction flashed in my mind, an unstable seal. Did an issue with the sealing ritual cause May 4th to become fixed, like a cracked hourglass, as if a hole had formed in the flow of time that was supposed to return to the morning of that day, letting the sand leak out so it never fills? It seemed as if May 4th was slowly solidifying inside there. Wait just a moment. This raises the difficulty of the termination attempt. My original plan was to run to City Hall early in the morning, the moment the disaster began. I would use the cheerful Research Institute's Segwang station floor, dash through the corridors of that place before it burned down, and take the emergency stairs to the rooftop. That way I could end it when it was least dangerous, before the disaster alert spread and pandemonium broke out. The safest and most plausible method, but if this is the case, that becomes impossible. I would have to carry out the termination attempt in the afternoon in Segwang Metropolitan City, with the disaster in full swing, breaking through the rooftop where the cocoons have already swelled. Damn it, it was dizzying just to imagine. And even if I were to succeed, that's the end. The May 4th I experienced would become fixed. The dead agents and people would remain as they were. The counselor, too, would end up in the state she was in after sending me off, melted down. Perhaps it would be better. Should I just let the Disaster Management Bureau reseal it? Should I make May 4th repeat again? Then I could attempt the terminations on the morning of that day. Under the best conditions, no. Sinking into thought, I froze cold. The moment it's resealed, I'll forget everything about Segwang Metropolitan City, too. It's an impossible plan to begin with. From that point on, information and awareness about Segwang Metropolitan City would be erased once more. So perhaps this time not only I, but also Hu Yuan might forget about Segwang Metropolitan City. Then it's just over. Everything about the cheerful Research Institute, about Segwang Metropolitan City, all of it. Besides, that wasn't the only thing that bothered me. I don't know what the hell Agent Choi might pull in the meantime. That man seemed to be aiming for the resealing attempt itself to cause some kind of trouble. Ha! Feeling like my brain was about to burn out from stress, I took a breath. He trailed off.
Ooh, this looks about right.
I turned my head. Deputy Lee Songhae, who had been next to me at some point, was rummaging around near the tracks. After looking over the fallen materials here and there, she picks up a long piece of rebar.
What are you doing?
Making something to try out. Ugh-cha!
Songhae smiled, holding out the rebar, which was easy to grip.
Try sticking this outside.
I reflexively looked back at the exit, and it hit me like a bolt of lightning.
You mean to have them grab this from the other side?
Yep, they seem to recognize the paper, right? So I thought they'd recognize the rebar too.
It was definitely worth a try.
I'm strong, you know. Hurry.
I reflexively took the rebar.
Dolphin, you said you couldn't perceive the exit, right?
Yep, so you have to stick it out, Mr. Rodeer. If they grab it from the outside, we'll give it a pull.
Understood. Just a moment.
I will stick out an iron rod. Please grab it. We will try to pull. I threw the paper beyond the exit, then waited a moment. Time seemed to flow properly only when I was communicating, so a short wait should be enough. And after the paper returned, it read.
Yes.
I grabbed the rebar and stuck it out of the exit. A strange resistance, or a feeling of being sucked in. When the rebar was about halfway out, I tightened my grip on it.
Oh, it looks like it's completely halfway gone.
Over my hand, Deputy Lee Seong-hae's hand joined mine in gripping the rebar, and after waiting a moment, we slowly began to pull the rebar. A heavy resistance could be felt.
Pull harder.
I had no time to answer and just pulled the rebar. With a crackling sound, the scenery outside flickered into sharp focus and then distorted again. I kept pulling on the rebar. A limp right hand shot out of the exit. Seeing the pale white hand resting on the rebar, I pulled even harder. After it came an arm, a left hand, a shoulder. And then, the moment the rebar came completely out of the exit, the bodies of 2 people hanging from it tumbled onto the tracks. He gasped. I let go of the rebar and immediately grabbed them both with my hands. Cold, stiffly hardened, limp human forms were in my hands. Beside me, Deputy Lee Seong-hae lifted Assistant Manager Yoon Ha's arm and let it go thud.
Oh dear, they're corpses.
I looked at the corpse of Agent Bronze that I had caught as it fell toward me, at the pale complexion of the deceased. The bodies of the 2 who had died in Delusion Home shopping were in my hands. I cried out in shock. I endured the goosebumps and terror crawling up my arms, and slowly I laid the 2 of them on the ground. My heart was pounding violently. But in the space left by the shock, a positive signal flashed briefly. Is this a success? Right. Originally, if you died in the subway, you were supposed to wake up outside, so, for them to return as immobile corpses, isn't that actually normal? It seems like a sign that they woke up outside. It had been strangely twisted because of the Delusion Home shopping contract, but looking at the situation now, it seems that passing through the even more distorted surface of Segwang Metropolitan City might have released that restriction. Perhaps they both woke up in reality. My head cleared at that assumption. But why can't I see Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun? I hurriedly lifted my head and stared at the sunlit exit.
I can still see the silhouettes. Huh?
There were still 3 of them. I was holding the 2 corpses in my hands right now. But the 2 figures behind Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun that I had seen outside the exit were still visible. My blood ran cold. I put down the bodies and wrote a note with fumbling hands. The bodies of the assistant manager and the agent have come through. But why do I still see 3 figures? And did you intentionally not grab the iron rod, manager? A cold sweat ran down my back. But the reply this time, too, was clear. The paper read,
Yes.
I placed the 2 of them on the iron rod first. Considering the difference in our physical strength, it was a decision made in case Mr. Rodeer's plan did not proceed as predicted. It seemed he sent the 2 of them first, in case I was dragged outside by Lizard's own insane physical strength. I could understand that much, but, however, the iron rod disappeared again at the exit, and the 2 of them fell into the subway tunnel. They have now returned to their original positions. Can you see them? I can. So the dead bodies of the 2 people, judged as objects via the rebar, came over here, but they are also over there. Reporter Eun Ha-jae and high school student Ryu Jae-gwan. What on earth is this? What are they? My, what a puzzling situation. What comes inside but also remains outside? If this were a nonsense quiz, the answer would be something like a button. But unfortunately, the situation is quite literal. A literal situation. I looked at the 2 bodies in my arms, then looked outside again, and a thought occurred to me. Wasn't my premise wrong? They weren't alive in the first place. The 2 of them were dead bodies even inside the train. It was just that their minds were trapped here, bound by the Delusion Home shopping contract. So the conditions were different for them than for me or Section Chief Lee Jae-hyun from the very beginning, already trapped beings, entering May 4th as corpses. And the 2 people I met were in a completely past state, with no memories, unlike the 2 of us. That, perhaps, it wasn't that they lost their memories. Were they truly beings from the past, from the very beginning? Were the minds of high school-era Ryu Jae-gwan and reporter-era assistant manager Eun Ha-jae truly dragged into that place and trapped? Escaping through the outskirts is not suitable for those 2. Was it impossible to escape through the outskirts because of this twist in time? This is insane. What the hell is the sequence of events? No, first of all, are the 2 of them safe? Is there anything else wrong? I threw it toward the exit again, and I opened the paper that came back. It read, Agent. It's high school student Ryu Jae-gwan's handwriting. The slightly trembling script, as if holding back fear, was written with firm pressure.
Both the reporter and I are fine. I'm glad you're safe.
A sigh escaped me unconsciously. How can I save them? First, I need to assess the situation.
Deputy Manager Dolphin, could you please check for news from the Fox counseling room? I'd like you to see if Deputy Manager Falcon has woken up.
You want me to go check by myself?
Yes, I'll stand guard here. There are people right outside, so I need to be prepared in case of an unexpected situation.
But I wouldn't keep communicating with the outside just because I was anxious. If the time on the surface of Segwang Metropolitan City was truly solidifying, It would be better not to communicate unnecessarily and cause more time to pass. I watched the letters disappear from the returned paper. The bodies, perhaps because they originally belonged here, weren't sucked back in.
Just a moment.
Click. When I turned my head, a toy handcuff was fastened to my wrist and connected to the railway track. The strangely rusted plastic thing had the eerie graffiti, tagging Ghost on it. My hand felt strangely cold, as if caught by a ghost.
It's a simple restraint item. You asked me to hold you so you don't go out the exit, so I'm leaving something to do it for me.
Thank you.
She's incredibly thorough.
I'll be going then.
And Deputy Dolphin walked away behind the tracks, and so I was left in the sunlight with the two bodies. Silhouettes were still visible outside the exit. Worried that I might affect the time, I intentionally sat with my back to it and thought, my head feels heavy. No, I still have to do it. There's still time, and I will find the best option in this situation.
I can do this.
Saying it out loud made me feel a little better. Okay, first my deductions.
First, time on May 4th in ChapterWing Metropolitan City is currently flowing very slowly.
The day I experienced is continuing, so it's impossible to aim for the morning of a repeating day to enter before the seal ends the current situation. I have to enter in the afternoon and break through, by whatever means necessary.
Second, the reporter and the high school student are truly people from the past.
The fact that Assistant Manager Yoon Ha-jae and Agent Bronze's bodies were recovered by the subway, but those people didn't come over, means their minds didn't originate from the subway in the first place. It seems that the moment May 4th restarted, it revived the bodies, and to fill the void in their consciousness, it truly summoned people from the past. And in all this, my task hasn't changed.
Before it's resealed, termination.
And if those two are really people from the past, will they return to their own bodies at that past point in time the moment the seal is broken? How on earth did people from the past get in? Were only their minds drawn in?
Was it mixed with a different past? Since the Segwang Metropolitan City sealing ritual deals with time, it's possible for beings from the past to appear jumbled up inside Grapeseed.
I turned my head. I saw a figure walking up from down the tracks. Not short and petite like Deputy Lee Song-hae, but a person with a much taller frame. It was Agent Choi. I reflexively almost backed away, then stopped when I realized the surface of Segwang Metropolitan City was behind me. The handcuff on my wrist rattled. Seeing it, Agent Choi's expression turned strange.
What in the world is that? No, it's fine, whatever.
The bewilderment on Agent Choi's face was momentary, and it soon settled back into a weary complexion. It was a completely unexpected encounter, but I clenched my fists instead. This is an opportunity. This must be the time. I will somehow get this person's cooperation and improve the situation. This wasn't the time to be emotional. It was a situation where I had to reach an agreement, share all the information I had, and persuade him. I have to get something out of him. I stared at him with a clear mind. Agent Choi gazed at the tracks and opened his mouth.
You weren't at the counseling room. I figured if it was you, you'd probably be checking for a way in by now. Want to sit there?
With my back to him, I cautiously asked, preparing for any contingency.
Did you come here to talk?
Yes, and Agent Choi sat down first. In a distant spot at least twice an adult man's height away from me, how should I start? I chose my words calmly. This person doesn't believe me. If so, wouldn't it be better to say something that's easier for him to believe? But the moment I thought that far...
I'll tell you everything you wanted to hear. Everything, right down to what I'm trying to do.
Agent Choi began to speak in a low, numb voice about the method he intended to use.